Alright, today we're going to learn how to graph quadratics, building on this idea of solving them that we did in our last lesson. Let's say that I had this quadratic, x squared plus 2x minus 15. But instead of just that, let's put it into a quadratic equation and make it y equals x squared plus 2x minus 15. And you were told to graph this quadratic. Well, what we're going to do is we are going to find the x-intercepts by putting a 0 in for x, and it's going to become just like what we did last week. I'm going to put a 0 here, and I'm going to factor this just like we did in the last lesson. I look for my factors and sum the same way. I want two things that multiply to get negative 15 but add up to be positive 2. And so that's 5 and negative 3. So I have x plus 5 and x minus 3. And like I showed you last week, because of the zero product property, I can set each of these little binomials equal to 0 separately and solve them. So when I do that, I get that x equals 3. And over here, when I subtract 5, I get that x equals negative 5. Well, what does that mean graphically? Well, the graph of every quadratic is what we call a parabola. It's this U-shaped thing. Well, what we know is that these solutions over here are the x-intercepts. So once you know what the x-intercepts are, it's easy to sketch a graph of this parabola. I just make a simple axis. I have an x-intercept at 3. And I have an x-intercept at negative 5, and this parabola goes through those 2 points. You just make a U-shaped curve like that, and that's how we graph a quadratic. So what you're going to do tonight is all you're going to do is set the quadratic, set it equal to 0, and factor it and solve it just like we did, and then these two values are your x-intercepts. And we will stop there for today with this short video.